Hello everyone, today I'm here to do a tag video. This tag has been resurfacing as of lately, but it's actually originally an old tag. It is called the A to Z book tag, and if you haven't already guessed it, there's a question for each letter of the alphabet. So, let's begin. A stands for what author you have read the most of. For this one, I'm gonna have to go with Sarah Dessen. I have read 12 of her novels. When I read this one, just her newest release coming out in June, it'll be 13. I will have read 13 Sarah Dessen books. That's insane. But I love her. B is for best sequel ever. Now, there are a lot of amazing sequels, but when I think of a really awesome sequel, one of my old favorites, and that is Catching Fire by Suzanne. This is obviously the second book in the Hunger Games trilogy, and this is probably my favorite book out of the whole trilogy. It is my favorite movie out of the whole adaptations. I loved Catching Fire. I thought it is one of the best sequels I've ever read, honestly. Maybe the best, honestly, in my opinion. I'm not counting Harry Potter on this because those are all just amazing sequels. C is for currently reading. Be forewarned that I am filming this a little bit in advance, so probably by the time this goes up, I'll probably have already finished one of these books. That's just how it goes sometimes with filming. So I'm having to decide right now between The Valiant by Leslie Livingston and Winwich by Susan Denard, which is the second book in the Truthland series. I think right now I'm leaning more towards The Valiant, so I'm probably already finished with this book by the time I'm filming, so I'm probably reading this one. So here's the realistic answer. D is for drink of choice while reading, and I honestly don't drink a lot while reading. I really don't. If I'm drinking anything, it's probably water. Boring as it is, that's how it is. But I usually don't drink or eat a lot when I'm reading. E is for e-reader or physical book. I am pretty much a physical reader. Now, this changes throughout the years. I've done several videos talking about, you know, ebooks or physical books. I think it all depends where you're at in your life. I've said in that video when I just had my son for the very first year of his life, I was 100% like ebooks because it was easier. You know, I had a sleeping baby on me all the time. I had to feed him all the time. So it was easier much to hold my phone and e-read rather than holding, you know, a chunker of like a 5-pound book. So it all depends where you're at your time of life. Right now, it is a physical book, but whenever I have my next kid, whenever that may be, it's going back to ebooks. So it all just depends where you're at. But for right now, long answer short, physical. F is for fictional character you probably would have dated in high school. I probably would have dated any fictional character really in high school. I picked this character because I loved him a lot in high school, and that is Edward Cullen. The book's all the way up there, so I can't reach it right now. But yeah, I loved Edward Cullen in high school. Like with the deep, deep passion. If I could have dated him, man oh man, would we have been so in love? Probably not, but it would still have been amazing. G is for glad you gave this book a chance. And for this one, I'm going to go with The Raven Blaze by Maggie Stiefvater. This is one of my favorite series, but I've said countless times that it is a hard feat to get into this book. The first 100 pages are the roughest, and you may want to give up. I know I've tried reading this book 3 times before I finally just caved in and like pushed through the first 100 pages. So just know that, like, I'm very glad that I stuck with it because it is one of my favorite series, but the first 100 pages of this book in particular are just so hard to get into because there's so much buildup. You know, when you read the book jacket, it's really nothing like the book jacket. So, you know, it's just a whole different world. So I'm glad I stuck with this book, but it was a hard feat getting into it. Be rest assured, if you're having a hard time getting into this book, it's totally understandable. Just do the first 100 pages and it'll get amazing. Trust me. H is for hidden gem book. I don't know really one. I read a lot of them, honestly, with you. A lot of books that a lot of people know, but there are sometimes I read books that I don't hear too much about. So this is kind of probably in the middle, honestly, and that is Wolf by Mariah Grandin. This is one of my favorite books I've read last year and I still love it. I don't know if a lot of people have read it. I don't see it on BookTube as much as I personally would want to. I think this is a hidden gem of a book. If you like historical books, definitely check this one out. Even if you don't like historical books, this one is just such an amazing one to get into because I'm not a big historical reader at all, but this one, oh, so much action adventures, motorcycle, cross country. It is amazing. Trust me. I think it's a hidden gem of a book for sure, and I wish more people would read it. I is for important reading moment in your life, and I am going to be cliche, and I'm going to say the day I started reading Harry Potter. That is probably my most important reading moment, if I'm honest with you. I remember very vividly the exact day and time and area and situation I was in when I first started reading Harry Potter, which is not happening to me because my memory is horrible. Know that fact still of all that information of when I first started reading Harry Potter is a big deal to me. I have several memories of Harry Potter, very vivid memories that I can conjure up easily in my mind. So that is my most important reading moment because that is really what set me on track to be the reader that I am today. You know, that's just how it is. It made a lot of us readers, so I'm very thankful for that, and that is definitely my most important reading moment for sure. J is for just finished. Again, like I said, I probably have just finished the volume by Leslie Livington, but as in real time, as of me filming this, which sorry, this is probably going to be like 2 weeks behind of when I'm filming it, but it's just, I like to pre-film because I like to have somewhat my life in order. But as of real time of me actually sitting down and talking to you right now, I just finished last night The City Baker's Guide to Country Living by Louise Miller. K is for kind of books you won't read, and there's only one genre I really will not read any books from, and that is horror. That's a genre, right? Yeah, I would say so. I would never read any horror books. I took a big dive last year into reading thriller books, and I do enjoy thriller books, not like I don't read too many of them because I personally can't handle that because I'm a big scaredy cat. Horror is one genre I will never venture into, and that's not to say there's not amazing horror books out there because I know there are so many. I personally just cannot handle them. That is just me. L is for longest book you've read, and that has to go to Harry Potter and the Order of Phoenix, which is the 5th book, and that has 870 pages, which it sounds like a lot, but I'm like, that's it? I feel like I really want to read a book that's over 1,000 pages. Maybe I should do that. And as for major book hangover, because, and my last major book hangover was definitely because of A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. Every time I finish a book in this series, I have really bad book hangovers. And, you know, book hangovers can last however long. For me, it lasts like about a couple weeks, which is still quite a long time. But, man, did this put me in a book hangover? It did. And as for number of bookcases you own, and I own 2. This is this one right behind me that's like, you know, it pretty much stops right here, and I have another one the same size on the other side. So 2 bookcases. O is for one book you have read multiple times, and for that one, again, cliche, Harry Potter. I've read Harry Potter countless times. I will continue to keep rereading them constantly. Those are the only books I've really constantly reread a ton. P is for preferred place to read, and for that it's gonna have to be bed. I read every single night without a doubt in bed, but whether it be 5 minutes of reading or 30 minutes of reading, I just read always in bed. That's just the only time, honestly, I really read is after I put my son to sleep and I am in bed. I maybe read for 30 minutes, an hour if I'm really feeling the book, and if I'm really like not tired, which most nights I am. So yeah, bed is definitely my preferred place of reading. Q is for quote that inspires you / gives you all the feels from a book. And this is hard because there's so many amazing quotes. There's always been one quote that I've just really loved and really resonated with me, and that is from the Silver Linings Playbook by Matthew Quick. It is, if the clouds are always blocking the sun, there will always be a silver lining that reminds me to keep on trying. I love that quote because it's just very realistic to life. I try to live by that quote as hard as it is sometimes, but I really have always loved that quote because I just find it so realistic and so very true. R is for reading regret, and I don't have one of these, maybe not starting a booktube channel sooner, because booktube has really elevated my reading and I read so much more now because of booktube. So my reading regret, I guess, or I don't know, would be not starting booktube sooner, because I could have read so many more amazing books if I had only found booktube sooner. It was very early in the phases, I think, when I found booktube, so you know, it's not a huge regret or anything like that, but I just wish I would have found it sooner so I could have gotten in this community even more sooner than I already have. This is for series you started and need to finish, and this says all books are out in this series. For this one, I'm gonna have to go with Percy Jackson and the Olympians by Rick Riordan. I have read the first book in this series and I have not finished it, if I'm honest with you. I don't know if I'm ever gonna finish it. I feel like my time for it has like kind of gone away. I feel like if I was gonna read it, I was gonna read it back in the day, and I haven't. So I still beat myself up frequently about this, if I'm honest with you, because everyone loves Percy Jackson so much. I feel like I'm the odd man out when it comes to that, but I don't know. I feel like I'm not feeling a really huge sense of urge to read it right now. I never want to get rid of this because I'm always like, maybe I'll read it one day, maybe. I don't know. T is for 3 of your favorite all-time books. For this one, I'm just going to say Harry Potter, obviously, The Raven by Maggie Stiefvater, and the Hunger Games trilogy by Suzanne Collins. Those are just 3 of my favorites. I have lots more, trust me. U is for unapologetic fangirl for, and I was really struggling for this one. You know what? I was gonna say books in general, but I really am a really big unapologetic fangirl for Gilmore Girls. I know that's not book related, but I am such a fangirl for Gilmore Girls. I don't know if I'd classify myself as much as a fangirl now, because I felt like I was a big fangirl back in the day when I was like 13 and 12 going to like Hanson and Spice Girl concerts. I was such a fangirl back in the days, which is awesome. I think you can be a fangirl at any point of your life, but I don't really freak out a lot about things because, I don't know, I guess I'm a reserved person for the most part sometimes, but when it comes to Gilmore Girls, man, oh man, do I fangirl and freak out over. Like, I just can't handle it. Can't handle it. So I guess that would be my unapologetic fangirl for Gilmore Girls, and I'm not regretting a single minute of it. V is for very excited for this release, and of course I'm gonna have to give that to Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. Is the third book of the Court of Mist, oh my gosh, the Court series. Let's just call it that because the titles are insanely long. But it's coming out next month, and I am very, very excited for it. Like, I can't believe it. W is for worst bookish habit. For this one, I'm gonna say dog earing. I don't do it as much now as I used to. I used to never use bookmarks ever. Now I'm pretty consistent with I keep the same exact one on my nightstand, and that is where it stays. I dog ear from time to time if I can't find my bookmark, because that happens because I lose everything. But yeah, I don't do it as much as I used to. I used to do it so much, like it was bad. X is for X marks the spot, and it says to count to 27, like count 27 books on your shelf and then pull out that one. So I did it from my top row, I went all the way from over there all the way to over here. So for that, it is Landline by Rowell. One of my favorite Rowell books. All of her books are my favorite. What if I say? This is an amazing one. This is one of her adult releases, and it is all about a marriage, and it's just a really awesome book. I highly recommend you check it out, which, you know, I'm sure you have, because Rowell is amazing. Speaking of Rowell, why is your latest book purchase? The book I just purchased is Carry On. Why have I not purchased this? I don't know. I really don't know. You know how sometimes like you're just afraid to buy a book because you're just like, you're going to read it and you're not going to want it to be over. And so you just kind of hold off by reading it or buying it. That is the case with Carry On. I've heard so many amazing things about Carry On. And the other day I was like, I got to buy it. I got to read it. I got to buy it. And you know, I'm probably gonna have a book hangover from it, but that's just how it's gonna have to be. So this is my latest buy. Z is for like like, you know, sleeping snatcher book. Book that kept you way up late at night. For this one, I'm just gonna show you the most recent one that kept me late up at night, because let me tell you, that does not happen a lot. Like I said, I have a kid, so I value sleep because it is important to me. So if a book keeps me up late at night, it's a big deal. The one that recently has kept me up late at night is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I stayed up till 3 a.m. finishing this, and I don't regret it for a minute. I probably regret it a little bit the day after because I was so tired, but worth it. Anyway, that was the A to Z book tag. I hope you guys enjoyed. I really love the questions, how there were such a plethora and such differentiating questions all in one tag, because sometimes you have theme tags, which I do like those as well. Still really enjoyed this one. Happy I did it. It's probably like a few years too late, but I finally got it done. If you like this tag, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.